Two of the world's largest religions have shaped law, culture, and belief across centuries. But when Christianity faced Islam in the medieval world, one of its sharpest thinkers chose reason, scripture, and moral philosophy to respond. In this video, we examine how a Christian scholar carefully evaluated Islamic claims and offered a structured reply grounded in logic, theology, and the nature of truth itself. In this video, we explore the historical examination of how one of Christianity's greatest minds, St. Thomas Aquinas, engaged with the growing influence of Islam in his time. In his pivotal work, Summa Contra Gentiles, Aquinas took on the challenge of critically analyzing the religious claims of Muhammad and the core teachings of Islam. His goal wasn't just to dispute, it was to protect the integrity of Christian doctrine while addressing the ideological and theological challenges posed by Islam during the medieval period. Through logical reasoning and profound theological insight, Aquinas provided a reasoned defense of Christian truth, engaging with Islam not merely as a competitor, but as a vital intellectual challenge of his era. Summa Contra Gentiles is a comprehensive theological and philosophical work by St. Thomas Aquinas, aimed at explaining Christian doctrine and refuting errors in competing worldviews. Written in the 13th century, this work serves as a critical tool for understanding the core truths of Christianity and presenting reasoned arguments against divergent beliefs. Aquinas crafted it not only for scholars, but also for missionaries engaged in dialogue with non-Christians. One of the key groups he sought to engage with was Muslims, as Islam was growing rapidly in influence across Europe and the Middle East. Through Summa Contra Gentiles, Aquinas provided a structured defense of Christian faith, offering clear arguments for its superiority over other religious claims, including Islam. In his analysis, Aquinas argued that Muhammad's appeal was rooted in promises of worldly, carnal pleasures, rather than in the pursuit of divine truth. He believed that Muhammad attracted followers by appealing to their fleshly desires, offering rewards such as sexual access to captives, which was a deeply appealing promise to those motivated by physical pleasure. Aquinas viewed this approach as a stark contrast to Christianity, which he argued promotes spiritual fulfillment and self-control over fleeting earthly desires. It's important to understand that Aquinas' interpretation was shaped by the medieval context, which often viewed such material incentives as inherently flawed, while focusing on spiritual purity. While some of the historical claims Aquinas referred to may be debated or viewed differently today, his central point was clear. He saw Muhammad's success in spreading Islam as stemming from appealing to base, earthly desires, rather than guiding souls toward the higher, spiritual truths of Christianity. Aquinas' second major argument centered around the necessity of supernatural signs for validating a true prophet. According to Christian theology, a prophet must demonstrate clear, divine signs, miracles that serve as evidence of their connection to God. Aquinas argued that Muhammad failed to provide such signs, suggesting that his prophecies were not divinely inspired. In contrast, Aquinas pointed to the miracles of Jesus, which were central to the Christian faith, as clear evidence of divine authority. These miracles, healing the sick, raising the dead, and performing other acts beyond human capacity, were seen by Christians as the undeniable proof of Jesus' divine mission. For Aquinas, the absence of such miracles in Muhammad's life cast doubt on the legitimacy of his prophecy, as he believed that true divine inspiration would be accompanied by extraordinary signs of God's power. Aquinas' third major argument focused on the way Islam spread. He claimed that Muhammad's message was eagerly received by certain groups, but not by those with true wisdom. According to Aquinas, no learned men or philosophers, trained in divine or human knowledge, accepted Muhammad's teachings from the start. Instead, he noted that his initial followers were often brutal men and desert wanderers, groups who were not known for their intellectual depth. Moreover, Aquinas emphasized that Islam's spread was not solely through peaceful persuasion, but through force. Muhammad forced others to accept his teachings. In contrast, Aquinas pointed out how Christianity's early growth was fundamentally different. Christianity spread not through coercion, but through the witness and martyrdom of its followers. Early Christians, despite facing intense persecution, spread the faith through their unwavering commitment to truth, often dying for their beliefs. This, Aquinas argued, was a sign of the strength and authenticity of the Christian message, as it was embraced even under the threat of death, a powerful testimony to its divine origin. Aquinas' fourth major argument was that Muhammad misused earlier scriptures, particularly the Old and New Testaments. He argued that Muhammad perverted the testimonies of these sacred texts, reinterpreting them in ways that distorted their original meanings. Aquinas believed that while Muhammad incorporated some truths from the Bible, his teachings were ultimately a blend of truth, fables, and false doctrines. For Aquinas, this was a critical issue. He saw the distortion of established scriptures as evidence of the flaws within Islam's foundation. Muhammad's message, according to Aquinas, mixed genuine elements with fabrications that misrepresented the true nature of the divine revelations found in the Bible. This argument would later set up a stark contrast between how Christians and Muslims view Scripture. Christians hold the Bible as divinely inspired and unaltered, while Muslims believe that the Quran is the final and uncorrupted revelation. For Aquinas, the integrity of the Bible was paramount, and any corruption or distortion of it was unacceptable. Medieval Christian views, including those of Aquinas, often saw Muhammad as a heretic rather than a prophet. This perspective reflected the theological environment of the time, where many Christian scholars viewed Islam's challenges as deviations from true Christian doctrine. Aquinas, deeply rooted in the intellectual traditions of his era, thus engaged with Islam not merely as a competing religion, but as a significant heretical movement that needed to be countered through reason and scripture. Aquinas' method of engagement with Muslim thought also highlights his reliance on natural reason. He did not merely dismiss Islam. Instead, he critically analyzed its teachings, using the tools of logic and philosophy to address the theological claims made by Muhammad. His reliance on natural reason was central to his approach, allowing him to engage with Islamic thought on a level that was both intellectual and theological, seeking common ground while defending Christian truth. This rational approach remains a cornerstone of Aquinas' intellectual legacy in both Christian theology and interfaith dialogue. It's important to clarify that this video presents Aquinas' historical critique of Islam, which was deeply rooted in the medieval Christian theological context of his time. His conclusions were not meant to be an objective or universally accepted interpretation, but rather a reflection of his intellectual environment and mission to defend Christian doctrine. Today, many modern historians and scholars interpret the rise of Islam and Muhammad's role in a vastly different light, often emphasizing historical, cultural, and political factors that shaped the spread of the religion. Aquinas' views, while influential in his time, are not the only lens through which Islam should be understood. His critique was based on the theological challenges Islam posed to Christianity, and it reflects the concerns and theological priorities of the 13th century. Understanding Aquinas' work requires recognizing these historical boundaries and appreciating the evolution of thought that has occurred since his time. To conclude, Aquinas raised several key points in his critique of Muhammad and Islam. First, he argued that Muhammad's appeal was rooted in worldly incentives, promising carnal pleasures rather than divine truth. Second, he noted the absence of supernatural proof, claiming that true prophets demonstrate divine signs, which he believed Muhammad lacked. Third, Aquinas pointed to the nature of Muhammad's early followers, describing them as less intellectual and more motivated by force, compared to the peaceful spread of Christianity through witness and martyrdom. Finally, he argued that Muhammad's teachings misused and distorted earlier scriptures, blending truth with fabrications. Aquinas' critique was shaped by both his reason and faith. He used intellectual reasoning to dissect Islamic claims, while simultaneously grounding his arguments in the Christian theological framework that he believed was divinely inspired. His work represents a deep interaction between philosophy and theology, seeking to protect Christian doctrine while engaging with the intellectual challenges of his time. If you found this exploration of Aquinas' critique of Muhammad and Islam insightful, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this.